what a song, that, and how appropriate. Does it have to be that way? And in the chorus we hear, why is it, this is a paraphrase, why is it that some get all the luck and others miss out? But it doesn't have to be that way. Thank you very much for singing that beautiful song. And I think, you know, this is part of what it's all about. You know, we as a Jewish community have brought our songlines, we brought our songs here, we brought our culture here. This is our contribution. Every single group that comes here, the Hazaras have brought their beautiful culture and they're creating it out there in places like Dandenong, building their wonderful communities. You know, every group, the Iraqis, the Sri Lankans are bringing culture, other ways of looking at things. This is what makes us great. This is what energizes us. And that culture is the heart and soul of the people that are coming here. And now I'd like to welcome, I've got to say, Mr. Levitan.
Dean
Levitan, who's going to speak briefly about Jewish Aid and this wonderful short film, which once again is all about what can we do. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. I've just got a few thank yous I want to say before I show you our 3-minute video. The first thank you goes to the Jewish Labour Bund for inviting us to co-host tonight. It's a real privilege. I think it's a great event, and it's exactly things like these events that we need in order to bring people together to change the conversation. Second thank you goes to Arnold for co-hosting tonight, and also for Arnold's also been a great supporter of Jewish Aid and has written for our online publication, as well as one of our first writers. So he's been a great supporter of Jewish Aid over the time. And my last thank you goes to Kon, who he was at our launch of the What We Do campaign about 7 months ago, and he launched it there with us that night. Not only is he a personal inspiration to me, but I think he should be an inspiration to the movement. I think he really is one of the moral leaders of our time, and so it's a real privilege to be here. Before I show you our video, I just want to quickly tell you about why Jewish Aid decided to tackle the asylum seeker issue. It's a very controversial one. It was a big decision for us to make, but it goes back to in 1939. The MS St. Louis departed with 938 Jewish German refugees from Germany and first sought refuge in Cuba and then the United States and then in Canada. In each of those situations, in each and all those situations, the government turned the MS St. Louis away and the 930 Jewish refugees away because the public sentiment in the country was so strong against refugees at the time that it's what allowed them, facilitated those sorts of policies that were the indifference towards refugees. Of the 938 refugees, 238 of them went back to Germany and perished in the Holocaust between the years 1939 and 1945. What that says to us is that our policies here today have very real and direct impacts on the people whom we're hurting. We can't just pretend that we can abdicate our responsibility and then people can go and it's not our problem, because what happens is it has a very real and direct impact on people, and it costs lives. It definitely does. And the only way we can have policies like that is through a process of dehumanisation. And so the only way we can start reforming that process is by putting humanity back into the conversation. About remembering that these aren't just numbers, these aren't taglines, these aren't illegals, they're not queue jumpers, they're people with families and stories and names, and for that we should be respecting them, we should be appreciating them, and we should be welcoming them. And this is our video that we put together. Thank you. This video I'm about to show you has had close to 25,000 views on YouTube. We released it about less than 2 months ago, and it really, we put it together in a couple of months, and it does, well, I think, a pretty good job of helping to create the conversation. We bring the humanity to the very core.
Across many generations, Australians have come from far and wide as immigrants to this great country. Today, many regions of the world experience armed conflict, repression, and political instability. Every day we hear the news of persecution and tragedy from across the globe. In Syria, an estimated 100,000 people have been killed and a third have been forced from their homes. In Pakistan, Women and girls are deprived of education, and discriminatory shooting attacks are a daily occurrence. In Afghanistan, the Taliban perpetuates brutal, ethnically driven atrocities against Hazara minorities. If you were the mother or father of a family in these situations, what would you do?
I would seek a better life for myself and my family in a country that has freedom of religion, freedom of politics, freedom of education, and a place where we can live without fear of our lives every single day, and where we can build a better life for ourselves.
I would do anything. I would sell everything. I would run. I would pay anyone anything to take me away. I would do anything to save my baby.
Well, first of all, I know that the cheapest place to get to is Australia. More expensive to get to Europe, more expensive to get to America. I would head towards Indonesia, but Indonesia doesn't offer protection. And instead of waiting 30 or 40 years to be offered a place of safety, I would get on a boat.
I'd do whatever it took to save my family, my children, myself. I'd get out of the country or move into an area that was safe. But I'd do whatever it took to save my life and that of my family, whatever it took.
I'd hate to be in that position. I've thought about it a bit because I was the only Giditsky that was born in Australia, not in old school Russia. I've always felt very, very lucky. But I guess what I'd do would be whatever it takes.
I can't even imagine having to leave my family behind and be in that situation, but I think that I'd do anything to stay with my sister and make sure we were both safe.
I'd do everything I could to escape from Afghanistan under those circumstances, especially if my family included young daughters. I'd want them to have a future. I'd want them to be able to be educated and participate and have a normal life as we all want a normal life. I would do anything I could, including getting on a boat.
What would you do?
I think we're finishing up soon. When we're done, we've got a couple of signs over here and some texters as well. So if you want to stick around after, you write your response to the what would you do question. We'll take a photo. We've got a website we put up on as well, whatwouldyoudoo.org.au, and our Facebook page. So if you'd like to stick around after and have a photo with it as well, we'd like that. Again, thanks for letting us be part of this. It's a real privilege.